Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Hello and welcome to the Healthy Living podcast brought to you by Willow Creek Springs. I'm Joe Grumbine and I'll be your host today. And I have with me Patrice Mahoney as a guest host. Patrice, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. We're going to get rid of this background and let me shut the door here. There we go. All right, Patrice Mahoney. I have known you for, probably
Since 2012.
Yeah. So been 11 years now.
Mhm.
And we go back in a lot of different arenas. You've been involved with one of my nonprofits for a long time, and
That's how we met.
that is how we met. I was marching down the streets of Sacramento, and you were there with a friend and a little wooden heart gift that I remember receiving.
Yes.
And we've connected since then. You moved out our way, and we've been working together ever since. And so Patrice, you've got quite a interesting history. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and what brings you to the Healthy Living community?
Okay. I'm Patrice Mahoney. I live in Corona. I'm 70 years old. I am a cancer survivor, current COVID-19 long-term symptom patient, and I suffer from asthma and heart failure. And
Other than that, you're very healthy.
I'm very healthy thanks to plant medicine. What happened to me was, for some reason, when I had the COVID, it flared up all my symptoms from when I had chemo and radiation. It was very strange. It was February of 2020, and I was taking a shower and my hair started falling out just like when I
Yikes.
went through chemo,
Wow.
just like that. So I know what it feels like to go through that twice. And that's why I want to talk about what plant medicine has done for me. And I've stopped, the COVID made it so I couldn't take any of the pharmaceuticals that they were prescribing for me. None. And that was my heart medication, blood pressure medication, and all that's been replaced with plant solutions.
Wow.
From Willow Creek Springs.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it
I mean,
really is.
You know, we talk on this show a lot about Western medicine
Yes.
and pharma solutions, and in no way am I anti-Western medicine. I just believe that it's overused
It's way overused. It's a profit. It's not anything to do with healthcare.
Well, and I think that our healthcare system is broken in the sense
Oh,
of
definitely. I
doctors
agree.
are overworked and aren't able to actually spend time
Yeah.
and diagnose patients the way that they used to at one point.
Exactly.
It's a machine. It's a
Yeah,
insurance-driven machine
Exactly,
and
insurance-driven.
profit-driven. And it's an interesting thing because people think that, oh, it's plant-based, so therefore it's okay. And it's like, well, no, it's plant-based. So in my opinion, it's likely that it could be okay. But
right.
some of the most toxic substances in the world come from plants.
Yes.
So
yes.
people like to lump things into a box, and
that's,
just because plant-based, to me, it's like, it's marketing. And so
Yes, true.
I try to be transparent about, just the same way that you watch nighttime TV and you see an ad for a different medication every 8 minutes on a commercial, and ask your doctor about this and ask your doctor about that. Or you go to a doctor and he sees you for 30 seconds and writes you 4 prescriptions.
I have just a couple of weeks ago, I had an experience with a doctor who didn't have any idea about CBD or how the medication for my asthma kicks up my blood pressure.
Mhm.
And I mean, he was ready to start prescribing all these medications. I just had to hold him up. Stop. I don't need any of that. I have asthma. I just use my nebulizer. My blood pressure is going to be up,
Yeah.
And then when I started using the going down,
Uh-huh.
my blood pressure is 120/70. Yeah.
Well,
And that's from 180 they had me at.
so that's a reference to a botanical formula that
Correct.
we make here at Willow Creek Springs.
Correct.
And the idea is it's a combination of herbs, concentrates, it's got CBD in it, it's got a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But the idea is it's formulated to be safe and effective, but I'd rather it be safe than effective in the sense of, like you say, your asthma medication, there's always a stacked on side effect.
Right.
So
exactly.
the stacked on side effect is your blood pressure goes up through the roof. Well, that's
Right.
pretty significant.
Yeah.
Like you could blow a valve or
Yes.
bad things could happen because of a spike in your blood pressure. And then people get these medications that sometimes they're prescription, sometimes they're over the counter. And with asthma, I grew up with asthma. I know how it feels. And if you can't breathe, you want to take another hit. But if you're not thinking, oh shoot, that might jack up my blood pressure
Right.
more, maybe it's not
And I
a
could
good
die.
idea
Yeah.
to take another hit.
Yeah.
It's like taking another hit of crack or something. You just
Yeah.
don't know when that one that's going to blow your valve is going to come.
Yeah.
And the doctors don't generally tell you about that.
No, they don't.
So I think that's a key point to know. I'm not asking anybody to believe in anything just because it's plant-based. Because
No.
like I said, some of the most
Because
poisonous
some of it
substances
depends
in
on
the world.
everybody's different. That's what's so unique about the
Exactly.
endocannabinoid system
Mhm.
that doctors didn't even know about.
Right. Well, they
Right.
still don't teach it.
Oh, and they still don't teach. I think I
They
read
know about
somewhere
it, but
they
don't
do.
teach it.
They give you 14 hours, 20 hours of training on cannabis. That's it in medical school. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah. I
But that
don't
sounds
know.
about
I've
right.
been to medical
Oh.
school in a while, but
I had my doctor tell me to be careful when I told her I was using CBD.
right.
She says, well, you have to be careful with that stuff.
Right.
And I looked at her, I said, I've been using those products since I was 15 years old. That's before you were born, Dr. Fajardo.
Well, and not only that, but we know that the cannabis plant and CBD in particular has no lethal dose.
Right.
So when a doctor tells you to be careful, it's not based on, well, you might die.
Right. Exactly.
But the doctor doesn't tell you be careful about that aspirin
Right.
or that anxiety pill or that they don't ever tell you be careful, this might kill you. They don't say that. So that's the part that I have trouble with doctors. And I've had doctors on as guests, and the doctors that I have had on as guests are unique in the sense of, they're osteopaths or they're practicing doctors that embrace other modalities. And, they agree with me in the sense of the world of Western medicine it's not just in the sense of,
It's not.
it has a path that they're taught. And if you follow the book, you go through here. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people.
Right.
And I'm not saying it doesn't save lives. There are lots of people, our quality of life today
I agree.
is better than it's been on any time in our historical existence on the planet. So we can't shoot out all Western medicine. However, I think that there's a wisdom and a balance that I would just love to see more medical professionals embrace.
Well, and that's what I had to do is I had to switch from Western medicine to Eastern practices after I got the COVID and long-term symptoms. And I still experiencing these migraines, and they won't, because of my age, there's this Beers list, they call it. And it's based on your age, they can't give you some of these medications. So I was using, I think it was Norco, would take out my pain on the headaches, and I only asked for 10 of them and lasted for 10 days. And now they say because of my age, they can no longer give me that medication. True, yes. So
the one that worked. They can't.
the one that worked. So I have replaced all of the narco stuff with CBD and THC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people have been able to do that successfully, and
Yeah, it takes care of my migraines. In fact, it's joint juice that I've been using for migraines.
okay. A lot of unintended benefits.
Right,
people
right,
find,
exactly.
And it's just like with drugs, if you will, chemical drugs, they find all kinds of unintended benefits sometimes,
Right,
and,
right.
and even though there's side effects, sometimes they're good side effects.
Right.
you
And
know?
everyone's different. That's
Yes,
why what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you.
exactly.
Or the other thing is dosing.
Mhm.
I don't want to say how much I weigh at the moment. I'm going to start a diet tomorrow, but
It's always tomorrow.
there's solutions for everything that I need as a senior that is a cancer survivor with heart failure and long-term COVID symptoms.
Absolutely. Well, I think that your attitude, your outlook, your open-mindedness, I think those are really important. A lot of times,
Yeah.
people will hear news or they'll get a test or something, and the doctor will tell them a thing, and they're like, okay, well, I guess that's how it is because
Yeah.
the doctor said. And other people are like, well, okay, I'm glad that's your opinion. I'm going to go get another opinion in there.
Yeah.
In my case, I was walking around with pneumonia for years and years. And I went to one doctor and then went to another doctor, and they kept giving me drugs and taking x-rays and telling me I had pneumonia, but the drugs didn't work. And I went to another doctor. I went to 5 doctors before we finally figured out what it was. And it was an allergy to a fungus.
Oh,
And then we went down the road to recovery, which ultimately I created a product that has made it to where I don't need to take the steroids that they prescribe.
is that
me.
breathe easy or which one is that?
Respiratory support.
Respiratory support. I'm also using all of the medications I previously had as pharmaceuticals
Mhm.
are now from plant, or what do you call it? What do you like calling it?
Well, they're plant derived, yeah.
Plant derived, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're natural, holistic remedies.
Holistic,
what
that's
I
the word I like.
call
Yeah,
what we
that's
do.
the word I wanted, holistic.
It's I can't say medicine. I'm not a doctor.
No, we
I cannot
can't.
give medical
You can't
advice.
say that.
Nothing's FDA approved.
No,
These
you
are
can't say
all
that.
just little.
You can't even say it's organic because
I
of
won't say it's
prohibition,
organic. I won't say that either because I grow some of the herbs that we use in my own little farm, and I'm not certified organic.
Yeah,
I grow them. I know how I grow
but you
them.
can't be certified
Well,
right now
I
because,
could to grow calendula,
Oh, yeah.
rosemary, and
Oh,
all
yeah.
of those things. So, but I'm not going to because
Yeah.
it's a racket. So, the point is I know what I do, and I know, how and why and all of those things, and it's what I take and what I give my loved ones. So I know, even if it didn't go to anybody else, and
Yeah.
I know it's helping me. Like I have a chronic cough just from the fungus spores that are in the air wherever I go all the time,
Yeah.
but particularly in the compost that I work with, they're in that. And if I'm not wearing a mask all the time, I don't like wearing masks. So I wear a mask when I'm in the dust, but other than that, I don't. And if it wasn't for this compounds that I make, I would have to be on steroids, or I would have this cough constantly, like literally constantly coughing. So
yeah,
that's a demonstration, the fact that I'm not sitting here
yeah.
with this dry cough
I
constantly.
use the respiratory support.
Mhm.
I use the joint juice. I use the going down. And then I just purchased a new one that I'm going to try out called, what's a sleep? something?
Somnific.
Yeah, I'm trying that. And and the skincare products that Liz creates is amazing. Just
Yeah.
amazing. Let me tell you something. My skin has been so dry since radiation and chemo. And when I met Joe and Liz, Well, this is after I met them. We were out at Willow Creek Springs for a meeting for the Human Solution. And I tried her. She brought out some that she was selling, and I said, well, I want to try some of that. I've been using it ever since. It is the best skincare product I have found as a cancer survivor. And I used to have to go to Macy's and spend like 65, 70, 100, and I got a little cute kit to go along with it, you know? Seriously, I had to do that.
Right.
And I don't have to do that anymore, which is good because I'm retired and couldn't afford it. But yeah.
Well, I
So-
think that, you know, the whole idea of this show is, you know, to share
Yes.
thoughts and ideas of healthy living, and it's not just how to avoid, you know, problems with health, but it's also, as we're getting older, we're all getting older every single day,
Right.
and there's issues that come
Okay.
from that, and there's also overcoming, you know.
Well, you know,
obstacles.
as we do get older, our bodies start experiencing new things like arthritis and things like that. And the longer I live, the more I have learned to manage pain level.
Mhm.
I won't sit here and tell you, oh yeah, that takes the pain away. Absolutely, on some cases. But what it does do is allow me to manage that pain, and I can still be productive. I can still go and volunteer at the school. I can still, you know, go to the grocery store. I can still be grandma. I can do all that. But most of the time, I am pain-free.
Well, and pain has a purpose in life.
Yes, it
and-
does.
and
It does.
Pain's job is to
That's
protect
true.
you from
Right.
hurting yourself
That's
more.
true. That's right.
And if you didn't feel any pain, you
Yeah,
know,
That's really true.
it's really a curse. There's people out there who
They
don't
don't. I
feel
know.
pain, and they have serious injuries.
Yes,
They
yes.
get burned and they break bones.
Yeah,
and
yes,
they have
yes, yes.
terrible things because they don't have the pain to tell them, hey, whoa,
I
back
know.
off, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
So I'm blessed
that
to have pain.
improving quality of life is really our goal, and to you know, reduce the acuteness of pain and get it manageable. You know, they talk about pain management, and I think that's I don't agree with a lot of terminology that's used, but I think that is a good one, in the sense of, you know, pain is a very subjective thing, right? People say,
Yep.
well, describe your pain level from 1 to
1 to
10
5,
or 1 to
yeah.
5 or whatever. And it's like, well, what you might call it 2, I might call it 10, you know,
Exactly.
depending on how we deal with pain.
I know.
And
That's very frustrating.
you know, the electricity firing through those neurons that are sending signals to your brain. And some people's nerves are more sensitive than others.
Mhm.
And some people's sensitivity or their threshold of pain is more or less than others. So some
Right.
people can handle huge amounts of pain and just sit there and take it. And
Mhm.
other people, you know, you pinch them and they just, you know, it's a lot. And you know, you see some people with full tattoo sleeves and getting a million little pricks with the needle, and they smile and say, thank you, can I have another? You have somebody else that passes out with a smiley face, you know.
Yeah.
And so I recognize that. So I think, you know, for our purposes, the whole idea of healthy living and holistic remedies are about getting the most you can with what you have, and increasing the quality of life and reducing the problems as much as you can.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we were just talking about my wife in the garden, right? Where it's never perfect. Well, we have a
Right.
human body that's always changing too.
Yes.
And literally it's like a river. It's never the same twice.
Right.
And so your body is the same. You have different cells. Every morning you wake up, you have some cells that died and some new ones that are born. And you're not the same person.
That's right.
And so in a dynamic world like that, you got to think to yourself, okay, well, it's never going to be perfect, because you can't freeze that moment in time
Right.
when you're at your optimum. We all had a moment in our life where we were at our very best, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Maybe it happened when you're 16 or 22 or 35 or whatever. There's that moment where your body was at its best.
Yes.
Your brain was at its best, your heart was at its best, your lung, It was never going to get better than that.
Yes,
And then
that's usually 28 to 32, 35.
But everybody's probably
Yeah.
got their moment that if there was a snapshot of that optimum you,
Yeah,
it would look like this, right? And one day we'll probably have the ability to capture that moment, say, well, this is as good as your body ever got. Cool,
you're
whatever
probably
it is,
right.
but meanwhile, you say to yourself, okay, well, here I am now,
Mhm.
a day older than I was yesterday, more water under the bridge, more breaths in and out, more heartbeats, all of the things that we have some finite number. And you say to yourself, well, what can I do to make it the best that it can be? And, you got diet, exercise, sleep. Those are your three big pillars, I call them. Then you got, stress and community. Those are two more pillars that are important. But diet and exercise and sleep, I think, are the three things
Yeah.
that really contribute the most to our health, and that, the physiological health. And I think that, it's all connected. So,
I agree.
if you're hurting too much, you can't exercise too much.
I can't
Can't hardly
exercise at
move,
all.
can't get up,
Yeah,
can't get out of that couch. 'Cause
exactly.
if I have no mobility, I can't, how am I supposed to pick this thing up and carry it up the stairs if I can't even reach down to pick it up, right? So those are all
And that's me right now.
interconnected things.
the-
And
with
then if
the
you don't
heat
move
up.
around, well, then your lymphatic system's not working right.
Right,
And then you start putting on a few pounds and you start losing muscle mass
that's
because
me.
you're not moving around. So those are all things, so that,
That's me, exactly,
Well-
because I work about 32 hours volunteering at the elementary school next door to where I live.
Mhm.
And since the school's been out for the summer, and I had all these big plans of what I was gonna do, right?
Mhm.
Oh, and one of them was losing weight, and I haven't been able to do anything because of the air quality and my heart failure.
Yeah,
I'm lucky if I breathe heavy just going from my bed to the bathroom.
right.
Yeah. So the environment is really, I wasn't born with asthma. I was diagnosed with asthma after my condo that I was buying had black mold in it,
Mm.
and that triggered it. And so I've been dealing with it ever since. But going back to the products that you create, breathe, what is it?
Respiratory support.
Respiratory support. And going down and joint juice. That's how my body is doing so well today.
I love it. Well, listen, Patrice, we're about at the end of this episode.
Okay, and I'll be back.
Too long, but I'm hoping that you found this enjoyable.
I
that you
did,
can
and I want
join
to
us.
come back.
Fantastic. Well, is there any shout out that you want to give, or do you want to let people know how to get a hold of you, or is that something you're interested in, or you just want to just give us a farewell?
Well, I
Yeah.
do want to say on an upcoming episode, I will be talking about seniors and CBD,
Awesome.
because the more we know, the better decisions we can make.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Joe.
And this has been the Healthy Living Podcast, brought to you by Willow Creek Springs, and we will see you next time.
Bye.